Hello, everyone. If you're around, join me. I am super excited to share with you what to do if you are in that place where you have had some success with your marketing and sales, and then it feels like someone put the close sign up or just turned the water off. Something just happened, and you're wondering what the heck, because when your marketing is cracking and you're getting lots of sales and then it stops, it's normal to think, maybe it's just your marketing, you need to adjust something. And for many people, what happens is you start to analyze, brainstorm, maybe you start to seek out a copywriter or a marketing program because you just are in that place where, of course, you want to figure it out. You want to solve this because it doesn't make sense. It worked and then it stopped. The other side of this could be that your marketing is creating lots of interest, but not buyers. So both of these, the tendency is to think it's a marketing problem. What I want to share with you is that it's actually not a marketing problem, which is good news, because what's really going on here is much deeper than that. Because you can have the most incredible copy, the most amazing marketing, and still not see a boost in sales. Because marketing is a reflection of you. So what's really going on here is a perception problem. And I'm super passionate about this. This is the world I live in. You know, my bachelor's was in psychology. My master's is in communication. I've taught interpersonal communication. I've taught intercultural communication. It's all about perception, and perception comes from within, and it comes through in our communication, of course. So what's really going on, and this is pretty common, is something shifted within you. And a lot of times this can be traced back to how your brain is wired and how that wiring came from an event sometime in your childhood where you felt like it wasn't safe, that you needed to act in a certain way, say certain things, be a certain way in order to survive, in order to navigate whatever set of circumstances you found yourself in as a child. And when this is happening, when marketing works and it stops, you get into the cycle of, analyzing, brainstorming, trying to figure it out, questioning and doubting, which just reinforces the belief that something's not right. Usually what happens here is that something that isn't right ends up reflecting back onto you. You start to have this belief, there must be something wrong with me, because why isn't this working? This inherently starts to design this struggle. And then the struggle is what is wired in your brain, because in childhood, there was a message, or just paying attention and watching what was necessary to survive, that struggle was what was required in order to be safe. So your subconscious sees, okay, it's checking out the situation and deciding, okay, this is what is required in order for you to be safe, in order for you to be accepted, to be part of the family, to belong, to, be protected in some way, shape, or form, even if now that currently is not working for you. So what happens then, though, if you are noticing this pattern of struggle and then you start focusing on the struggle, you are reinforcing that old belief, that old pattern, that something's wrong with you. When you think something's wrong with you, of course, that's when you need to go into protection mode and fighter mode. And that continues to create that cycle of even more struggle, because struggle is what feels safe, even though, again, you may not like what's happening to your subconscious. That is what is required. So what needs to happen here is a couple things. First of all is, one of the most important, is releasing judgment and in bringing an attitude of curiosity and compassion, and just fascination as well. Like, how amazing is it that your brain helped you navigate, certain situations in childhood in a way that was, helping you survive. So even though that no longer helps you survive and no longer is necessary for you to survive, you can bring that sense of appreciation for your subconscious pattern, that it did allow you to have a certain level of safety and protection as a child. And when you bring that curiosity and fascination to it instead of criticism to it, you're not like digging your heels in. Why is this happening? Why isn't this working? Something's wrong with me. That reinforces those beliefs and those neural networks, making it even more true that there's something wrong with you and you need to fight and you need to struggle and you need to keep struggling because that's what's required to survive. When you shift, and really what you need for this, I should back up, is that you do need someone to guide you because, of course, on our own, we don't go as deep. And we often don't even see that this is a pattern on our own. We just think, of course, like it's just a marketing problem. I just need to go hire a marketer or a copywriter and that'll fix it. But of course, who you are is coming through in your marketing. And if who you are needs to be safe and needs to be in protection mode and needs to struggle, that's going to come through in your marketing. So you're not going to be attracting clients because you need to reinforce the belief that it needs to be a struggle. Do you see how this works? So that's how amazing our brains are. So when you work with the right mentor and get in the right environment where you feel supported in doing this work and being able to explore with curiosity and compassion and fascination, you can start to see how you can rewire your brain. So, of course, the first part of any change is awareness. So being able to understand, where did this come from? Why, what was it about the situation that it felt necessary to have this pattern of struggle? And how can I also understand that that pattern of struggle actually helped create some of your most amazing spiritual gifts? And that's, of course, also why you need someone to guide you, because on our own, we don't see our own gifts. We don't see our own brilliance. We are, unfortunately blind to those things. And we need an outside observer to help us see, not only to go deeper into our past, but also to see the gift in that, and then how that shaped, our perspective on the world, how you work with clients, how you are actually uniquely designed and wired to run your business, which is not from a place of struggle, but a place, of course, of growth and creativity. So what often happens if you think you can do this on your own, many people will guide you to, maybe you've read some books about, oh, you just need to go in and, challenge those old beliefs and just change those beliefs. Well, of course, if it's that easy, every person would be, wealthy, healthy, and happy. And not many people, I mean, there are people that are wealthy, healthy, and happy, but there are probably, I would say, a larger proportion of the population that are in struggle. So again, it's not as easy as just simply going in and challenging those beliefs and replacing those beliefs. It's really going at it to a deeper level, and in coupling that with how that situation and those beliefs and that wiring of your brain, of course, how amazing it is, and then how you can shift it to work for you instead of against you. And within that, see how that led to the amazing, gifts that you have that you're probably not tapping into at the level that you could be with the right support. Because, we only, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not really sure, go at a certain point and then we kind of stop ourselves. And so it's getting the right support so you can continue to evolve and grow and not get stuck at, the safe level of success or the safe level of struggle, whatever it might be. Because really what it's about here is, a lot of times there's an identity attached to struggle, that maybe that's all you've ever experienced, that's all you've ever been. And there's even like an attachment to like a family of struggle. I used to teach a lot about the framework of poverty and how in generational poverty, a lot of times it's really difficult for family members to get out of that cycle of poverty because they feel like they're betraying their family by becoming successful. And so this is how deeply rooted this is, because we are, all, ultimately tribal beings. We need each other to survive. And if it feels unsafe to be successful because you won't have your tribe, then it might feel safer to struggle and stay in poverty, because then you feel like, well, at least you have your family. So it's really deeply rooted, and even, deeply rooted in human nature and in, how the human, behavior, how we're designed and created, and how we learn to operate. And until you can start to, have the right support to see what those beliefs are, where they came from, how they served you then, how you can use them to serve you now and how they're connected to your gifts, and really change this whole identity so that it does feel safe to be successful. It does feel safe to not struggle. It does feel safe to earn more than your family. It does feel safe to be in the spotlight. That is, we need support in doing that, because there is this feeling of, sometimes for a lot of people, betrayal. And so it feels safer to stay in this pattern, this cycle, this relationship of struggle with family. So how I can, show some examples from my clients. So I'll share 2 examples. So I had a client who came to me who, was growing a side business, a couple side businesses. And, just from, some of the stuff he was sharing with me, you could tell, like I could tell from what he shared, it wasn't safe for him to go after what he wanted in the face of rejection. One no, and he would give up his dreams. And he had multiple examples of this happening. And this was also showing up in his marriage, that, a lot of his, power was deferred to his wife. And one thing that she said, no, okay, done. There was no, conversation, discussion. It was just end of story, end of what he wanted. And this, of course, manifested and showed up in his business where, it didn't feel safe to put himself out there. Of course, it's, any business, you're going to face rejection no matter what. It's pretty much impossible not to. Well, in life too, right? I mean, in dating, you're going to face rejection. With friendships, you're going to face rejection. But when this is happening in business, of course, then you're not making sales. So we went in and helped him, see this from a different perspective. He could start putting in place different boundaries to feel safe and supported. That changed how he showed up in his marriage and with his kids. And then he felt safer putting himself out there, and then eventually ended up, running a entrepreneurship group, which was a huge leap for him. And I had another client similarly where her safety, it wasn't safe to kind of, stand out and be different. So what happened was she ended up thinking that, I have to look a certain way, and she had to look a certain way in a business, be professional, do all the things, get into all these high-end programs and marketing and copywriting, because that was the professional thing to do. So she didn't see how, her spiritual gifts were cohesive and connected to her professional side. It was one or the other. So what ends up happening is she did all the professional things and not being connected to her spiritual gifts. It was so unfulfilling and unsatisfying and, overwhelming and just completely exhausting that she actually ended up, just quitting her business, like done. Like that's how bad, and I've seen this with lots of people, that's how bad it gets. And of course, she's not happy. When you're not doing the work that you're here to do, you're not happy as much as you might convince yourself you are. And there's, plenty of things people do to numb themselves out from that unhappiness, which, eventually it'll come back to you. So when we started working together, I could see this, there's a little bit of where she was, not validating her gifts and her work and putting a lot of value and kind of putting her husband on a pedestal and his work on a pedestal. So we started to change this dynamic, and the same thing, started to put in place some different boundaries. It shifted how she saw herself, which also changed how her husband perceived her, like his perception of her shifted. So they were more on equal standing as far as their professions. This, of course, then changed how she showed up in her business, because when she started to perceive the value of her gifts, and that was reflected in how she was interacting with her partner, and how he was also, reflecting that back to her, she, within 72 hours, was booking calls and making sales after having nothing, and didn't have to do any of the professional things. She didn't have to rebrand and do ads and do all the things that she had thought previously she had to do in order to be successful. So perception is huge, and it's something that we often don't think has as much of an impact as it does, but it has every impact, because how you perceive yourself comes through in your marketing, comes through in your interactions with your friends, with your clients, with your partner, and really, being guided with the right mentor to change how you see yourself, and also to have those skills and that support when you're wanting to, change and get to the next level. Because the thing about perception is that it's not like you're going to master it. When you want to move to the next level of income or the next evolution in your business, you're going to have to, again, this is going to resurface because you're, again, changing your identity to a different identity. So really what's needed is having the guidance to start to see how to source your identity from within, from your gifts, so that you change your perception of yourself. And that, of course, will change how your marketing, your sales, your client calls, the types of clients you're attracting, your relationship with your, how you treat your body, how you exercise, the kind of foods that you eat, the kind of people that you surround yourself with, the kind of conversations you have with your partner and your family. It all comes from within. And if that default pattern from within is the need to protect and the need to struggle, that's going to be what you, of course, are getting. And not just in your business, but in other areas of your life as well, your health and your partnership. So when you have the right support to start to source your identity differently and perceive yourself differently, you start to, of course, behave differently, speak differently, choose different things to talk about. And of course, what happens then is you get this complete turnaround in your brain where it is no longer unsafe. And you start to see you can't fail because where this is coming from is deeper. And the identity where that's coming from is not an identity. It is an identity where, we're all wired to succeed. And so when you're sourcing it from that identity, then you see you cannot fail. You can't screw it up. There's nothing wrong with you. And then, of course, you have no option but to succeed, which is exactly what happens. So this is possible for you. It's possible for all of us. That's how we are uniquely wired. And of course, we are wired to be in relationship, and in relationship with the right mentor helps you to grow to that level that is, and if, you can't do on your own, and it is more challenging to do if you're not with the right mentor. Every person has something to teach us, but if you're in that place where you're tired of struggling, you're tired of investing, not getting results, you're tired of brainstorming, analyzing, trying to figure out what the heck's going on with your sales, your marketing, and you're ready to really start to receive sales in a way that is a reflection of, your unique wiring and guiding your clients in a way that is leading to their ultimate, ideal transformation and outcome, I invite you to a 30-minute deep reveal where I will show you exactly what needs to shift so that you can start to receive sales and receive higher level clients with the connection to those unique spiritual gifts that you are not completely tapping into or not completely aware of. We're all, I need my mentor to help me see this. So we all need that extra level awareness to see what those gifts are. And of course, when you tap into this, that's when you get, like my clients get, you start to get sales, you start to get people reaching out to you. It completely changes how your business runs. So if you're interested, send me a DM and you can get that and more, of course. So if there's any questions, let me know. And of course, if you watch this on the replay, I would love to hear your thoughts, your questions, and I will talk to you all soon.